Hi everyone, this is Mix from Sneaks and Ball PH, and today we have a detailed review on the Adidas DRose for Restomod Brenda. Before we get started, if you do like the video, please make sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Then if you have any comments, questions, or any suggestions for future videos, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below as well. Then I'll also be leaving a link to the SNBPH Sneaker Hunters Facebook group in the description box, so I do hope you can join us over there because that is a place where we talk about sneakers and basketball quite a bit, and it's also where I hold my monthly giveaways. Then if you haven't already, please make sure to sub to the channel because it really does help us out quite a lot. Then with that out of the way, let's take a look at the Adidas DRose for Restomod Brenda. I was really excited when they announced that the DRose 4 was coming back, especially in this Restomod version, because at least in my own personal opinion, the DRose 4 is the best DRose to play in. And with the original DRose 4, even though it just had Adiprene or Adiprene Plus, the cushion was pretty doable and nowhere near as bad as like the DRose 1. And the shoe overall was just great. I mean, it felt super flexible and very lightweight as well, but it was also pretty stable and supportive. Then like I said, this is the Restomod version of the DRose 4, or as some sites would call it, the DRose 4 EVO, because even though most of the shoe is pretty similar to the original DRose 4s that released in 2013, you replace that Adiprene cushion for full-length bounce. That change in the cushion definitely makes this an upgrade over the 2013 pair. Like I said a while ago, this is in my opinion the best DRose to play in and is also my favorite DRose model, so having that upgraded cushion setup just really got me excited about these shoes. I also love the colorway because it just takes you back to Derrick Rose as a Chicago Bull, where he was just an absolute beast. I mean, he was quick, he was strong, he could jump out the gym, he was definitely very skilled and very tough as well. And it was just really fun to watch someone who grew up in Chicago get drafted by the Bulls and become the youngest MVP in NBA history. So once again, just a super nice colorway with those Chicago Bulls colors, as well as, paying homage to his mom. And the shoe in particular with that swapped out cushion is, I think, gonna be such a beast on court. So to see why, let's take a look at the tech specs. For the traction on the DRose 4, the outsole consists of an all herringbone pattern, and the herringbone pattern is actually vertical here at the toe as well as the heel, while it's going horizontally here at the forefoot and the midfoot. Herringbone is such a tried and true traction pattern, and with the DRose 4, since you have it going both vertically and horizontally, you're pretty much covered on all front to back movements, side to side movements, and everything in between. The grooves are pretty aggressive, especially here at the midfoot to the forefoot, and that really gives the traction some pretty good bite. These also do work pretty well on dusty courts. It's just that it's not like Kobe 9 level or Jordan 29 level, but it's still really good. You just have to take note that if you have really dusty courts, you might have to wipe these every so often. The durability of the outsole is also pretty good. The rubber is a little bit more on the stiffer side, and the grooves are also nice and deep. Even though these won't last as long as like a 90s retro with super thick rubber, they'll still last pretty long if you use these primarily outside. Then for the cushion, this is pretty much the only major change between the pair released in 2013 and the Restomod version. The original DRose 4 featured a full-length EVA midsole with a crash pad of Adiprene here at the heel. Then for the Restomod version, it does come with a full-length bounce midsole, and that just makes the cushion feel so much better. You have a little bit more impact protection, you have a little bit more bounce and plushness, and it's definitely just such an upgrade. And that bounce midsole also allowed them to carve out those same flex grooves that I always really liked on the DRose 4. The flex grooves on the DRose 4 do start out here at the outsole and actually make their way to the midsole, which does make the shoe pretty flexible, and it's actually such a joy to play in the shoe, especially with this new bounce midsole, because you have that nice cushion, but with all of those flex grooves and the way that it was constructed, you can move in these just as freely as the original DRose 4. Then for the materials, the OG DRose 4 did release in 2013, so that's pretty much still smack in the middle of the Fuse era, and with the Restomod Retro in 2021, they didn't really change anything, so you still have a mostly Fuse upper. You do have Fuse from the forefoot to the midfoot, and it's actually just separated by this line. And then behind that, you do have a pretty structured neoprene, which they call GeoFit. The GeoFit ankle collar on the DRose 4 as well as some of the other DRose models are definitely super comfy, while still giving you good containment and being lightweight as well. It is pretty hard to describe why I like that GeoFit collar so much, but it's kind of like having something super padded but super lightweight at the same time that also molds to your foot over time. Then for the other materials, you do have a thin textile tongue with some more fuse on the top of the tongue. And then here at the back, you have that plastic external heel cup, or what they used to call the Adidas Sprint Frame. The Sprint Frame of Adidas was a pretty interesting concept. It pretty much means that the heel cup is also the midfoot shank, so it's just like one entire piece. But the good thing about the DRose 4 is that unlike the previous models, the Sprint Frame didn't really pinch your midfoot. Instead, it was just kind of under your foot. And it was also just up until like 3/4 or 2/3 of the shoe, so it definitely didn't make the shoe feel too rigid. Then for the fuse on most of the upper, it is pretty standard. The good thing is it is pretty thin and it has a lot of perforation holes. But underneath the top layer fuse, you have what they used to call their sprint web. Essentially what the sprint web was is mesh, but it was made of plastic yarn, so it definitely was really strong while still being pretty thin. Then for fit and sizing, I did go true to size with the DRose 4 and it fits me perfectly well. I did go with my standard size 10, which is what I wore with the old DRose 4s that I had in 2013, and it does fit me really well here at the heel, and the width is pretty much perfect for me. And the only extra space I had in the shoe is here on the tip of the toe because it does fit a little bit long. I definitely don't recommend going down half a size though, because I think the width is just right, so going down half a size would definitely feel too tight. The extra length didn't really bother me then, and it won't bother me now, because just like the 2013 pair, the DRose 4 has excellent lockdown. Once you lace these up, you're pretty secure and locked in, and even if you have some extra space lengthwise, your foot is not going to be sliding in the shoe. So for my recommendation on the sizing, if you have a normal width foot or a narrow foot, go true to size. Then if you have a wide foot, this upper is not gonna stretch, so definitely go up half a size. Then for the aesthetic details, here on the outsole, that rubber is white here at the forefoot and midfoot, and then here at the heel, the rubber is black. Here at the heel, you have some white 3 stripes as well, and I really like how they incorporated the Adidas branding. And then here at the midfoot, interestingly enough, you still have that My Coach branding. My Coach used to be a thing with Adidas where it connected with your phone, like it had a chip or something in the shoe. It was pretty similar to what Nike had with the Nike Plus on the Hyperdunk 2012. Essentially what My Coach and also Nike Plus was supposed to do is like track your stats, like how fast you run, how high you jump, how much distance you traveled, and all of that other stuff. But it didn't really catch on because I don't think a lot of basketball players were concerned with how far they ran, and were pretty much just more concerned with playing basketball and getting buckets. So moving on to the midsole, from the forefoot to the midfoot of the shoe, that bounce midsole is in this red, and here at the heel, it's black. You have Derrick Rose embossed here at the tip of the toe, and then here at the back, those 3 stripes from the outsole do come up to the midsole. Those 3 stripes also do come up here at the black heel cup, and in my opinion, the heel counter of the DRose 4 is definitely one of the best looking ones I've ever seen on an Adidas shoe. It just makes the shoe look really fast. It's like, you know, leaving someone in your dust, and that very quick and very shifty player is definitely what Derrick Rose was in his early years. Then for the upper, the DRose 4 is pretty unique because you do have this very distinct cut in color, where you have red from the midfoot to the forefoot and black here at the heel and ankle. That red is definitely very vibrant, and the interesting thing about the paint they used is that it's not like a completely solid red. It sort of looks like it has some like acid rain marks or something, or it could also look like some faint tiger stripes. Then for the other details on the shoe, for the textile part of the tongue, it is black, and then at the top of the tongue, you do have some more red fuse. You have that DRose logo on there as well, and you have another DRose logo here in black on the lateral side of the heel. And lastly, you have black laces with red trim. Then for the overall aesthetics, I just really love this colorway. It's just very clean, and it's very classic as well with that black and red from the Chicago Bulls. Honestly though, I do think it takes some time to get used to the design and to warm up to it, because it does look pretty unique. I mean, there's not a lot of other shoes that look like this, and after a while, and especially with some of the iconic colorways like the Brenda, you might really enjoy how the shoe looks, like how I grew to like it. They also did come out with the boardwalk colorway of this shoe, which was that sort of pale green and pink look, which was definitely such a unique color combination at the time, and actually even now it still looks really unique. So if you want those quirky and unique colors, they definitely have you covered with the boardwalks. But if you want something that looks like a classic with that red and black, the Brenda is definitely the way to go. Then for the price, the DRose 4 Restomod retails for 7,000 pesos here in the Philippines, which roughly equates to around $140 US. I'm not really sure if these are releasing in the US or when it's releasing in the US, because I haven't really seen any news on these in the US, but I have seen these drop here in Asia, in Europe, and in Australia. Here in the Philippines though, they have been out for like 3 weeks or a month now, so once again I am pretty late to the review, but I just decided to prioritize the other videos because, I mean, the demand on this shoe is not that high. And the best example of the low demand for this shoe is that Right now, it's at 50% off on the Adidas site. So instead of getting these at 7,000 pesos, you can actually get them for 3,500 pesos or around 70 US dollars. So if you want to get these here in the Philippines, they are available over at the Adidas website. And if you're in the US, I have seen listings of these on like Goat and StockX or on eBay. So I think if you really want these, you can get it from there. But hopefully these do get a widespread release in the US. So there you have it, guys. That was my detailed review on the Adidas DRose for Restomod Brenda. Then once again, if you haven't already yet, please make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon for notifications. It would help us out a lot. Here's Sneaks and Ball, PH.